Good morning from Bolero Mount Prospect in Mount Prospect, Illinois. This is the 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. local squad for PBA LBC National Championships. Weekend number 6 of 7, just one weekend remaining. And not a large squad this morning, as we have some people definitely sleeping in on the morning after the 4th of July celebration last night. But we'll bring you all the action here in the main feed. We've got a couple of PBA exempt players on the squad with Stu Williams and Chase Nadeau. We'll get you introduced to them momentarily. Almost halfway through this practice period. As these players get 10 minutes of practice before their 6 games of PBA LBC National Championships bowling gets underway. They will move pairs after each game. If you keep us on here in the main feed, on one of your tabs, you'll get all the updates on what's going on in the field. We'll follow the hot hands, people that might be going for perfect games and such, trying to get their mini dukes. And then you can watch all the pairs in play. Open those up in the second tab here on the PBA YouTube channel. And you'll be able to follow your favorite player game in, game out. You'll know where they're moving after the first game. We'll tell you the lane movement for these bowlers. And give you some updates. Stu Williams bowling now. He's joining us on our 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. local time squad here at Bolero Mount Prospect. So you'll be able to get some great insight from Stu Williams on what he saw on the lanes on this squad. See Chase Nadeau in the red, blue, and black jersey on lanes 25 and 26. Stu and Chase both in the PBA exempt division. So they're bowling with players on their pair, but they're not bowling against those other players. So that's one of the great things about the PBA LBC National Championships. You never know when you might be able to bowl with a PBA Tour star like Chase or Stu. You see them having a pretty lighthearted time. And it is a little lighthearted here with these PBA exempt players during the LBC National Championships. They interact with the fans real well during competition, between shots. They still want to take down the top prize in that PBA exempt division, get their chance for that big money in the PBA LBC National Championships clash. Date, time, and channel to be announced in the future, along with location of where that will be held. So keep an eye on PBA.com for all your information. Another couple of quality young players here on 29 and 30 with Justin Bone and Bryce Oliver, both members of Team USA. Of course, Justin's dad, Parker, took down the PBA 60 Web Championship a couple of days ago. For his first PBA 60 title to go on top of a ton of PBA Tour and PBA 50 Tour titles. Finishing off the Roth Championship today for the PBA 60 World Series of Bowling at Wayne Webb's Columbus Bowl in Columbus, Ohio. And they'll have that PBA 60 World Championship finale tomorrow and Monday. And there you see our last pair in play on this squad, 31 and 32. So as we mentioned, this is a smaller squad due to the 4th of July holiday.
2 minutes left of practice.
And there you hear the announcements for 2 minutes of practice left. And we'll be underway shortly from Bolero Mount Prospect with this squad of PBA LBC National Championships. And with that, practice has completed. And we are going to be underway here for the 9 a.m. local squad.
All right, PBA LBC tournament bowlers, your 10 minutes of practice is now complete. Before we get started, a reminder that everyone on your pair is finished with each game. Please make sure you hit the space bar. That moves your scores to the next lane. All right, everybody, let's give these competitors a nice round of applause. Good luck and good scoring.
All right, and let's get you the introduction of all the players here during our opening game of competition. On 11 and 12, we have Chad Plass, Cameron Landers, Charles Landers, and Kyle Weir. Chad Plass in the Open Classic division. I had a chance to talk to Chad before we started today. Chad coming in from Winston-Salem, North Carolina with the family, making a family weekend out of it. Great way to handle your chance at competition here at the PBA LBC National Championships, and a great start for Chad with 10 back. Cameron Landers in the women's handicap division coming in with a 164 average. Charles Landers in the Open Classic division. And Kyle Weir in the Senior Classic division. So once again, with the 8 divisions of competition, you may have a PBA exempt player on your squad like a Stu Williams, like a Chase Nadeau, but you're not bowling against them. They have their own divisions. You could have them as your partners in the optional doubles and 4-player team events. We'll talk about that a little bit more in game number 2. as we've had a couple of champions last year in the optional doubles and the optional 4-player team that entered with a PBA exempt player and ended up taking down the title. They weren't even on the same squads that their PBA exempt player were on. Actually, it's one of the great things about those optional events. You can bowl with anybody in the LBC National Championships as long as they haven't bowled yet. So your roster is a little less if you're coming in bowling later on today, or if you're bowling next weekend. Obviously, it would have to be somebody that hasn't bowled the event yet. You don't get to use Andrew Anderson's great 8:25 start from last Sunday as your doubles partner, but you never know what other scores somebody might be able to put up. And there's a lot of pros bowling over the last 2 weekends of this event. Now, once again, you can watch any of the players on this squad as they go from pair to pair. There's all the pair feeds in the description underneath the video that you're watching here on YouTube. You may have to open that description up a little bit farther to see all those pair feeds. Great start there for Chad Plas with the double. Let's get over to our next pair in play, 17-18 with Scott Wiedemann, Joel Wiedemann, Marshall Dignan, and Daniel Fandel. Scott Wiedemann in the men's handicap division, he's coming in with a 193. Joel Wiedemann in the men's handicap division coming in at 187. Marshall Dignan in the open and classic division. Daniel Fandel in the open classic division. John, hey, good morning from Florida for you. Good to have you on board. Chase Nadeau, you may recognize his father's name if you follow bowling for quite a while. One of the best amateurs in Team USA history. Dan Nadeau is Chase's father. Chase came out of the tour trials last year here in the Chicagoland area. He finished 11th in the tour trials, got his spot on tour, on the exempt tour in 2025. And didn't have the greatest of years, but he says he's on a 5-year plan. So when we find out what the plans for the tour are in 2026, you're going to see Chase Nadeau back out there again, giving it his best shot. Yeah, Chase, one of those players, he's out in Las Vegas, so there's enough stuff to bowl out there and taking enough of their money out there. And then a couple of years ago got his PBA card, went through the regional program and gave the tour trials a shot, got through a tough field. Almost 100 players in the tour trials. Over 4 days of competition, 48 games in 4 days. And we'll see Chase back on tour in 2026 for sure. Chase owns Orchard Mesa Lanes in Colorado. Hometown Las Vegas. Had a great college career at Arizona State University as well for Chase Nadeau. In 2024, Nadeau finished 7th in the USBC Masters, and that's really what kind of gave him the assist with, along with friends and family, to jump on the tour trials. And we'll have to see. Dan Nadeau, Dan Nadeau, obviously traditional one-handed bowler. Chase can do one and two-handed. I would think that Chase would be doing the one-handed style still now, but it's something he's been working on to stay competitive on tour. And we'll take a look at Chase momentarily. Let's introduce you to our players on 21 and 22 here in Game 1. Stephen Wojcila, William Rodriguez, David Thomas, your players on 21 and 22. Wojcila in the men's handicap division coming in at a 214 average. Rodriguez in the Open Classic division, David Thomas in the men's handicap division coming in at 207. Good morning, Mary from Kentucky. Good morning, Robert from Oregon. Wow, Oregon, you're up bright and early on a Saturday morning after a festive 4th of July, I hope, for all. I was lucky enough last night to get to see a whole bunch of fireworks displays out of my hotel room window here in the greater Mount Prospect area. Let's get you to your players here on 23 through 26. There you see Nick Brem bowling with his son Lance. They're on the pair on 23 and 24 with Darrell Green and Stu Williams. Stu obviously in the PBA exempt division. Darrell Green in the men's handicap division coming in at 169. And the Brems have Lance bowling in the boys junior handicap division at a 180 average. And Nick in the Open Classic division. So Stu working spare four-bagger. I was joking around with Stu before we started today. Like going, you know what the game plan is, right? He looked at me, I go, well, you got to get as many pins as you can for the first 3 games. Hold on for dear life games 4 and 5. And then get a big game 6, because that's what our current Open Classic division leader, Weston Griffin, and our current PBA exempt division leader, Andrew Anderson, both did. As Griffin started with 833 for his first 3 games of competition with back-to-back 300s as well. Andrew Anderson started with 825 for his first 3 games last Sunday to take over the lead in the PBA exempt division, and if you ask both players, they could have had more. If they were the transition right, game 4 into game 5, both players thought they really could have had a bunch more pinfall. Good morning, Sally from Idaho. Good to have you in the chat. Don't forget, everybody, Stu Williams will be joining us for our 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. local time here in Mount Prospect squad. So you'll be able to pick the brains of one Stu Williams. I know a lot of people are big fans of the Beef and Barnesy show, the podcast that he runs with Chris Barnes and or Ryan Barnes and or Linda Barnes. Still waiting for the Troy Barnes episode. And Nadeau's got things straightened out after a couple of opens back-to-back. couple spares now, a 3-bagger on the board. Nadu bowling with Ryan Nolan, Ember Creighton. And Ember Creighton in the girls' junior handicap division coming in at 117. Ryan Nolan in the open classic division. How cool is it got to be for somebody like Ember to have a PBA exempt player on their lanes? I know last year Stu Williams bowled with a young man, Jackson Pfeiffer, who averaged 75 coming into this tournament. Obviously with the boys and girls junior handicap divisions, bowlers of any age and average can bowl in this tournament. And a lot of the thing now for Ember is just try to focus on just hitting the head pin shot after shot. You'll knock some down. You'll get a strike here or there. She started the day with a strike back in the first frame, but needs to throw a couple more spares on the board to start making the charge towards the top of that girls' handicap division. Get out of that head pin. There you go, Ember. Great cover. Next pair in play, 29-30. And you talk about a couple of young players that could do some damage today. There you see Justin Bone bowling on the pair of Bryce Oliver, both players on Team USA, currently or past. Both solid collegiate players. As Justin, is he going to get that 2 to roll? No, the pin rolls around it. That's a bit of a surprise. So a couple of late draw. Mario Quintero had to move squads, so he moved and bowled last week with that big PBA 50 squad we had on a Friday. And then we do have a player, Michael Strack, who is not arrived for his tournament competition. And there you can see with just 2 on a pair, Bone and Oliver pacing themselves so they don't get too far ahead, don't have to stand around for too long. Now, sometimes it happens where players don't make it on a pair and then the pair is short. These 2 experienced players know what they need to do to just take their time, make good shots, and maximize your pinfall without waiting too long between games. Hey, good morning, North Carolina. Good morning, Brazil. Thank you for joining us. And we'll get you back over to Chase Nadu and Stu Williams. I know that's what a lot of you people are tuning in for. If you want to follow your favorite player as we've been introducing them, all the pair feeds are in play. Just open up that description on the video that you're watching, and you'll see all the pair feeds. Right-click on one of those pair feeds for your favorite player, and then you can watch them and get the audio from us to let you know who's got the hot hand, what bowlers are doing well, and especially for this squad, we're going to follow our PBA exempt players, and I'm sure we'll end up following So our players here on 31-32, Robert Borst, Adam Azeltine, Juwan Burks, Michelle Murphy. Borst in the men's handicap division coming in at 214. Azeltine in the Open Classic division. Burks in the Open Classic division. And Murphy, she's in the women's handicap division coming in at 177. We'll get back to this pair in a moment. We do have Chase Nadeau stepping up. He really righted the ship after that rough start. Looking to get out of game one with a 236 game. If he can strike here and put the last one on top, and he'll still be in the 220s. So not a horrendous start. Unfortunately for Stu Williams, interrupted that big string. He had the 6 in a row, but then a single pin miss is going to max Stu out in the 240s for game one. Once again, not a bad thing. You're not giving up a ton of pins, and we saw, Andrew Anderson have a game in the low 240s during that opening 3 games where he had 8 1/4. So you don't have to have a ton early. I mean, if you can get out of, it doesn't sound like a lot of pins. But and a bad break there. But only loses a couple. Still gets out of that. Could have been a disaster game with a game in the 220s for Nadeau. Lane pattern here for the PBA LBC National Championships is a pattern exclusively designed for this event. 42 feet in length, about 31.25 milliliters of oil on the lane, and it's about a 4-to-1 ratio from the middle of the lane to the outside of the lane. So for players like Stu and Chase, it's something very different than what they see on the PBA Tour. And for our amateur bowlers, for a lot of them, it's a little bit tougher than what they see on a house pattern. But far from impossible for both players. You see the PBA exempt players and some of the higher level amateurs getting their head going, I can't make, tour moves type things, because they're going to get themselves in trouble, because then they end up making too big of moves and adjustments. Stu staring that one down, and you see why. Stu wasted. That's one thing I love about Stu. Wasted no time. He knows what he wants to do on the lanes, and he just fires. So Stu looking to get out of here with 247 for a solid start. Hopefully that single pin miss doesn't come back to haunt him by the end of this block. Once again, he's looking to get past the 15-18 total, the plus 318 using the PBA scoring system of Andrew Anderson that was set last Sunday, after Patrick Dombrowski's Saturday night got past E.J. Tackett. Dombrowski held the lead for one squad. And we'll have to see if that's the same thing that happens to Andrew Anderson. Players are going to be finishing their first game of competition. They're going to be moving pairs. So they're simply going to be moving one pair to the right. So the bowlers you see here on 31 and 32, because we're using the pairs in play for the movement to the right, they are just going to simply be moving down to 11 and 12. So they'll get to see a good chunk of Bolero Mount Prospect today. They're just not going to see corner to corner like our 3 p.m. Eastern Time squad will, as they're going to have a full house for that 3 p.m. squad, and then a big squad tomorrow for our noon Eastern, 11 a.m. local time squad, as we have eight PBA exempt professionals bowling tomorrow. And we'll give you that list early on in game two. Player movement, as we said, just skipping one pair to the right. These players you see here on 31 32. moving to 11 and 12. Our players from 11 and 12 moving to 17, 18. So it's the next pair in play to the right for all of our players here. On our 10 a.m. Eastern at 9 a.m. local squad of this PBA LBC National Championships. 6th of 7 weekends, final weekend of competition. Next Saturday and Sunday here from Bolero Mount Prospect.
more of that happens.
Stu Williams comes a little high, frame number 3, after a 247 opening game. Looking to chase down Andrew Anderson. For that overall PBA exempt lead. It's checking on Chase Nadeau. Chase spare strike to open up his game. And let's check in on Oliver and Bowen. As we said, a couple exceptional young PBA futures. I would think that both players will want to take on the future PBA once their collegiate careers are complete. So the second of 6 games of qualifying. If you have any questions about the event, drop them in the chat. Save your questions for Stu Williams, though, as we're going to have him in on the 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. local time squad. Nadeau with the big recovery in game 1 after starting open, finishing off at 220. Fell off that shot just a hair, and wow, that messenger comes flying back just in front of the 10. And we mentioned let's get you that roster for the 11 a.m. squad tomorrow. And that's what we know of for the PBA players. I know that Liz Johnson is tentatively scheduled on the 11 a.m. local time squad tomorrow. But how about this for lineup? Let's start with Nathan Bohr, another player who came out of the PBA Tour Trials in 2024 to save his spot on tour in 2025. Then let's pile on a PBA Tour titleist in Christian Azcona, another PBA Tour titleist in Matt Sanders. A man who had a TV show made about him with How We Roll, PBA Major champion Tom Smallwood. Now let's go with A.J. Johnson, who'll be looking for PBA title number 2, and he should get that, one would think, sometime soon. Packy Hanrahan already has 2 PBA Tour titles. Bug Kroll with 2 PBA Tour titles, and then let's throw in the Hall of Famer with Sean Rash. That's right, 8 PBA exempt players tomorrow on that noon Eastern, 11 a.m. local time squad. And I'm sure there's going to be some players on those squads looking to bowl with those PBA exempt players, and they can pay $25 per player for the optional events. For the optional doubles, you bowl with anybody that hasn't already bowled in the event. So yeah, you can't use an Andrew Anderson's 825, and you definitely can't use Weston Griffin's 833 because Weston is a youth player and is ineligible to bowl the doubles and such as a youth player. But you use your first 3 games of your PBA LBC block for your optional doubles score, and then you use games 4, 5, and 6 towards that 4-player team optional event score as well. And once again, it's just $25 per player. So if you want to, if you're not bowling tomorrow, even if you're bowling next weekend, you can make yourself a 4-player team with AJ Johnson, Sean Rash, and Packy Hanrahan. And yourself, you just go on the PBA LBC tournament website or use your League Pals app. Pay for that tournament entry. The entry must be paid for by the first individual bowling. And then you have your doubles event or your 4-player team event. There's Oliver from Ohio. This live is bowling at Clutch Lanes and Sports Center in Cuyahoga Falls. Ooh, that one really sliced high. Bryce currently on Team USA. Just finished up his college career. At the University of Pikeville. And a couple of days ago, put up a 300 game at the USBC Open Championships in Baton Rouge. There you see Nick Brem trying to bounce back off a rough start of 147. He's got that game beat already. Start with a front 5. Looking to keep that score sheet clean, and he does. Stu Williams needs to figure out that right lane, as he's Dutch through 6 frames. We saw a couple players last week that could have had really big blocks and then had a game they couldn't figure out one of the lanes in the pair. Kobe Franklin, who's in the top 10 in the Open Class Division, had a Dutch 200 game, and then Stu can't get that 10 pin to go, and he's going to keep bowling Dutch with a spare here. Patrick Dombrowski had a game where he went pretty much Dutch until the 10th frame for a 2-teen game. See what Nick Brem can do here, get back to striking. Yep, nothing like wearing a Christmas-themed jersey when it's 92 degrees for your forecast high with humidity here in beautiful Mount Prospect, Illinois today. Think it cool. Brem back in the pocket. Wow, nice messenger coming back across. Checking on Nadu, he just popped the strike. He's just having problems putting strings together. Let's get back over to see if Bryce Oliver can figure out how to not go through the nose here on lane 32, as he and Bowen both with solid starts with games in the 230s. One would imagine that they are bowling that optional doubles event together, along with putting some 4-player teams together as well. And Stu Williams slices right through the pocket. No worry about going Dutch anymore, as that's now a solid 9-pin. And he's going to have a maximum in this game of 219. But game 3 seems to be the magic game for a lot of players. That's where we've seen a couple of 300s put up recently, as Justin Bone gets it out to a 5-bagger. I love this. The Brem family is going to go home even after that bad break there for Lance. Lance bowling in the boys handicap division. But they get to go home. They're going to have pictures of Stu Williams on their pair. I'm sure they're getting some fun conversation with Stu between shots. Maybe a little bit more conversation when Stu's stringing him like he did in game one. And now Chase Nadeau finding some problems. Just keeping the score sheet clean there for a while. Now big 4. Let's get an early morning perk up here. Let's get a bounce here, Chase. Well, maybe he's going to try to use a different ball and waste a couple of pins here with the different strike ball, or is he? No, he's going to go for it. He's going to try to get that bounce. No love in an open frame for Chase Nadeau. Not a good start to the day. Bone looking for the half dozen. Gets done. Wait for Stu Williams to come up for his 10th frame. Williams gets to get to 219. I mean, still a solid total. He's just going to need to pick up a couple of big games here somewhere to try to get past Andrew Anderson. Let's go back to Oliver first, and then we'll get back to Williams. Oliver looking to stretch it out to 4 in a row. See how deep Oliver can get on the left side with that ball speed and rev rate, two-handed style. Great toss there by Lance. Thought he was going to get that ball to kick. Sexy 7 for Bone. Yes, indeed. You can see he's feeling it right now. Once again, 15-23 the total that anyone needs to beat for that Open Classic Division lead. Let's see what Stu can do here, 10th frame. Last time on that lane, vicious, solid 9-pin. There you see that abbreviated follow-through by Williams. That's his trademark. And that one takes the 9 down. Stu didn't like it. I don't think that was the reason why. I don't think Stu thought that was even going to get near the head pin. Yeah, John, Stu actually has that style because when he was a young bowler, he didn't actually bowl 10 pins. This game in England called Skittles. That's mostly played outdoors, kind of a lawn bowling-ish type game. And that's where Stu first started rolling balls, and then when he switched over to 10-pin, everything with the follow-through is kind of stuck. And you know, once the ball's out of your hand, it's out of your hand. Doesn't matter how high that follow-through ends up going. It just, you don't want it decelerating when it's going through the actual release of the ball. But once it's on its way up, if you stop it, then, hey, like Stu does, just putting on the brakes a little bit sooner than a lot of other players. So basically, the product of Stu's early environment, as Stu stays clean this time, but only puts up 2-0. And now Justin Bowen finding some problems here on that 7-bagger. Backup ball, it's got a chance. Hey, shooter. There you go. And Justin Bowen looking to get to 267 here in game 2. Bryce Oliver, unfortunately, that opened in the 9th frame. Going to leave it a max of 215, but once again, still 4 games remaining for those players. Just checking on Nadeau's score here. As Nadeau, yeah, he's not even going to hit deuce this game, so not a good morning to this point for Chase Nadeau. We talked to a lot of the players, and it doesn't matter if they're a PBA exempt player or some of the players in the men's, women's, boys, girls handicap divisions. It's not extremely tough to get to the pocket on a lot of these pairs. It's extremely tough to get the ball to take all 10 down time after time after time. And that's kind of like what Stu and Chase are running into right now, a little bit with Bryce Oliver as well. I mean, Bryce did have that 4-bagger there, but he's got opens on either side of it. So with that big sweeping hook for Oliver, it's an all-or-nothing kind of look. And unfortunately, there's been a bit of nothing thrown in. Mr. Dombrowski, I don't know. I only got a chance to talk to Chase in passing a little earlier today. He didn't sound too concerned, so I'm hoping that if there was any baggage issues for Mr. Nadeau, it was resolved before he got here today. Hopefully, PD, you're not one of those people that have been unfortunately stuck in that new roller coaster a couple times down at Cedar Point. Brand new roller coaster, you think they get the bugs out before they open it up to everybody. Nothing like getting stuck 150, 200 feet in the air. So let's see what Justin Bowen can do here to get to 500 for 2. He'd actually have 503 for his 2 games. If he can polish off 2 more strikes here in the 10th frame. Yeah, you could tell he wasn't happy at release, but there's a little room for error. Out here on this LBC National Championships pattern. So our player movement, once again, they're just simply moving 1 pair to the right, 1 pair and player to the right. So the players here on 31 and 32 are going to go down to 11 and 12 for their next game. Everybody else just moving 1 pair and play to the right if you're double tabbing us here. And there you go. Justin Bowen, early start, 503 for 2. Can he keep pacing towards that lead currently held by Weston Griffin in the Open Classic division? We'll find out after player movement. Game 3 will be coming up next. How about that for Jawan Burks? 170 start. Looking to put up 251 on the board as he tries to make the comeback in the open class division here, finishing game number 2. We'll give you the radio call on his fill ball as we are into game 3 here with Chase Nadeau. Chase, rough start, just plus 13 for his first 2 games this morning on this PBA LBC National Championships pattern. 42 feet in length, 31.25 milliliters in the pattern, and about a 4.5 to 1 ratio inside to outside on both lanes. So Banks did strike out for his 251. Let's see what Stu Williams can do here. As Williams looking to get a double here in game 3. Williams, solid start, 455, needs to pick up a big game somewhere to try to track down Andrew Anderson's pace from last Sunday. And could this be the game to do it? Another big score on the squad so far. And we'll check in with Justin Bone. Bone with a great save in the 9th frame on a 2-4-10 conversion. Struck out for 267 for his second game. He's at 503 for 2. He's chasing down a 15-23 total by Weston Griffin. So Bone needs to pick up a few more pins here and there somewhere, but he also needs to keep that same 250 scoring pace going. And it's never easy when you make the turn from the high end of the house to the low end of the house. Sure, they're not going all the way down to 3 and 4, but hitting lanes (11 and 12) still not going to be easy for Bone and Oliver, his lane mate. All right, let's see what Williams can do to keep the strike string going. And then we'll take a peek down lanes 11 and 12 as Justin Bone just getting ready to throw his first attempt of game 3. Stu making that turkey gobble. And Justin Bone. Wow. That had some spark on the last 5 feet. I think he's even really surprised about how much that ball moved. But if you're going to open, the famous words of every color commentator ever in the history of the PBA, open in the first frame. Something tells me Bones going to take the 1 and go, which he does. Checking on Chase Nadeau. As Nadeau, as we said, rough start to the day, just plus 13, but hey, off the sheet here can give him the plus 93. Still give him an outside chance with a big finish at that Andrew Anderson total. See who's going to fire here first, Nadu or Stu. And with the 2 lanes of courtesy, of course, they're not using the PBA double jump rule, just using 1 or 2 lanes of courtesy. How about that for Stu? From 0 to hero on a trip 4. And Nadu keeps the string going as he's out to a 4-bagger as well. Down and watch Justin Bone flush strike in the second frame. This pair just outside of our broadcast booth here at Bolero Mount Prospect. I would say Bone probably is just going to let the ball get farther right, which he does. Yeah. There's some moves you can make on this pattern that might not be the, quote, normal, unquote, moves that they'd make on somewhat tougher patterns. You know there's a little more free hook because of the 4.5 to 1 ratio. So Justin Bone didn't make any real move on that shot other than, hey, let's let it peel. It gets a little right. It's still going to peel. A little less traffic out here this morning with a lot of pairs only having 3 players on a pair. Oh, how about that for Chase Nadu? Head pin comes back across, slaps off the sideboard, and aggressively still takes that 10 pin out. That's got to make you feel a little better if you're Chase Nadu. Boy, Bryce Oliver running into trouble again this game. Oliver, open spare open. 31 in the third. That is not a fun time for the man from Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio. Pardon me, 37 in the third. We'll go over to Stu first. Stu looking to get his string out to 5 in a row. Match to put up what Nadu's got on the board next door. And unfortunately for Stu, no messenger like we saw with the Nadu. Lots of loft there for Nadu. Put up 6 in a row for the man. Currently from Grand Junction, Colorado. I like what Oliver and Bone are doing here. I mean, they're looking at the lanes around them. They're pacing their time out. They don't want to wait after games. And how about that for Justin Bone? You know, we had Matt Russo in the booth last Sunday, and he was talking about the training center that the Russo and Bone families own inside of Howell Lanes in Howell, New Jersey, with rev rates. And sure, it gives an opportunity for players like Justin to practice when he's at home, as I believe he's going to be a senior this upcoming year at the Savannah College of Art and Design. I don't think he's graduated yet. I'll have to double check with him between games. You may have seen Justin on a PWBA live stream or two this summer as well. Over to Williams. Still has room for 269 here. Oh, how about that? Let's go trip 4, roll 2. And the finger pistols come out for Mr. Williams. He's going to be very entertaining. Yeah, if you haven't already marked it on your calendar, and I know it wasn't out on the PBA LBC page, I know it wasn't posted to the PBA YouTube yet. How about that? 6 just gets the 10. For Bone. Let's check in on Nadu. His big string comes to an end, but once again, another player can still put up 259 here in the third game. And he'll get up and fire right away for the 10th frame. Still be joining us on the 3 p.m. squad here in the booth, 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. here in Mount Prospect. So save your questions for Stu until then. Bears Fan 97, yeah, you're getting the pros, well, the PBA exempt pros for today. We mentioned all 8 that'll be bowling tomorrow. We'll go through that list again shortly. But Chase Nadu, Stu Williams, your 2 PBA exempt pros today. There you see Nadu starting his 10th frame. We also have a couple of great young college players, soon to be PBA Tour pros, one would think, with Justin Bone and Bryce Oliver taking the lanes. Let's take a look at Justin Bone working on 4 in a row. 5:03 for his first 2 on the 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. here in Mount Prospect squad today. No PBA exempt pros bowling. We do have Jerry Mars, who's a PBA regional pro for here in the Chicago area. We also have Rich Blake, PBA 50 member, 5 in a row now for Bone. We also have Verity Crowley, PWBA player, bowling on that squad this afternoon. And we also have one of the directors of the Great Elite Youth Tour down here in the Chicago area, Rochelle Blake, on that squad as well. We can't forget Teddy Ballgame, Teddy Rosenquist, PBA member, hitting the lanes here at 2 p.m. as well. But yeah, your pros tomorrow. I mean, when you got, let's start with Sean Rash, PBA Hall of Famer. Let's start with Packy Hanrahan. Let's go over to Bud Kroll. Jump on with a little Tom Smallwood, a little A.J. Johnson, a little Nathan Bohr, a little Christian Ascona, a little Matt Sanders. Yeah, 8 PBA exempt players tomorrow at 11 a.m. local time, noon Eastern. That stream, once again, will be live streamed. We'll have the main feed for you as well. No scheduled booth guest tomorrow, but we'll get you through here for sure. Stu asks that one to push, and it does. So Stu's still looking to put up 269. And let's see if Bone of the Justin variety can keep striking. There's not a bad bowler in that Parker and Leslie Bone bloodline. You got Justin. You've got Brandon, that powerful left-hander. Probably has more rev rate out of his left hand than 95% of the two-handed players do, left or right. And, of course, Sidney Bone, having a great college career at Vanderbilt and part of Junior Team USA as well. And Justin Bone keeps the string going. Out to 6 in a row. Brad Snell, that's a name in the chat. Yeah, Brad was here last week Friday. He bowled on that big PBA 50 tour squad that bowled on Friday, that special one that was scheduled. I don't know if Brad was bowling. Was he bowling the PBA 60 World Series of bowling? I would think Brad would be out there for that. I mean, Brad, even, I don't know if he's a frog or not. I know he's a super senior. I don't know if he's a frog. But yeah, Brad's definitely been one of the PBA Midwest best players for decades, along with running pro shops in various parts of the Chicagoland area. I know when the Peterson was out at Long Gone, now I'm blanking on the center name, out in Hoffman Lanes, Hoffman Estates, where they had the Pearson for a while. Brad Snell at the pro shop there, and then he moved it once that center closed. Yeah, Snell was at the PBA 60 World Series of Bowling. Didn't have a spectacular scoring pace out there. But held his own quite well. So Justin Bowen out. Seven in a row after an opening spare. He'll be stepping up in the ninth frame momentarily. We'll get you over to that. We'll see if he takes the lanes before Stu Williams. Yeah, looks like Justin will be doing that. Justin keeping himself busy this summer, as we mentioned. A couple of stops at the PWBA crew for Bull TV. I'll have to ask him if he's going up to Green Bay for coverage of that 10th anniversary event right before Junior Gold, and one would think he'll be part of their Junior Gold coverage as well. And that 4-pin could have been a lot worse. You see Justin's reaction on the way back. Where, yeah, let's happy we got 9. Move on. Put another 250 on the board. Over to Williams. He's already got the first one in the 10th, looking to get to 269, looking to still keep on pace. Get that 10 out of there, Stu. Don't know if Double A is out on the golf course or if he's on the live stream watching, but Stu Williams here. You can get to 124 over. Still going to need a bunch in the back half, but that 124 over is more than what Andrew Anderson had for his low 3 games of the event. As Anderson had 203 in game number 4 and 237 in game 6. So still a little room for Stu if he just keeps plugging along. He could challenge Andrew Anderson. Problem is for Stu, he's got to avoid that game 4 bite in the backside that we've seen happen to a lot of players as they start hitting transition from people they may not have been aware of. And And our players, this is the one time they're going to skip a pair and land on the second pair in play after this game as Bone gets back to striking in the 10th. So Bone keeping pace with that Weston Griffin scoring pace. Even though Bone's going to have about 160 over for his first 3 games as compared to Griffin's plus 233. Griffin's pace slowed down. Griffin was only 90 over for the last 3 games, so if Bone can keep pacing the way he is, we could see a new leader by the end of the squad in the Open Classic division. Yeah, Weston Griffin, after his opening 833, and of course that contained again back-to-back 300s. 211 game 4, once again avoiding that game 4. Seems to be biting a lot of our bowlers in the backside. So once again, the player movement, skipping a pair landing on the second. So the players you see here in 11 and 12, they are actually going to be moving up to 21 and 22. Players you saw with Stu Williams in 27 and 28, they're going to come down to this pair. And once again, Stu Williams will be joining us here in the booth on our 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. local squad. So save your questions for Stu. For that squad, I'm sure he'll be more than happy to answer them. Ask him a little bit about Beef and Barnsey. Ask him a little bit about what equipment he used today. Stu's pretty much an open book. If you're a Beef and Barnsey fan, I don't catch all the episodes, but I like to catch a few of them. And, yeah, definitely they get those fan questions to answer as many as they can, and I'm sure we'll have that opportunity on that 2 p.m. squad a little later today with Stu Williams. right, Stu Williams already underway with a strike. We'll keep an eye on Justin Bowen momentarily as he's moved up the lanes 21 and 22. Yet to start his 4th game of this 6-game LBC block. Stu Williams plus 123 for his first 3 games. So Stu would need 796 for his last 3 to get past Andrew Anderson. Justin Bowen with a little less work to do, as Bowen at plus 160 for his first 3 games, or a 763 game total. Bowen would need 764 in his final 3 to pass Weston Griffin for the Open Classic Division lead. And once again, Bowen moves pairs. Bowen finds an early open, but if he can do what he did in game 3, he bounced back with a huge string after his first frame open. Bryce Oliver, as we mentioned earlier, he seems to have kind of an all-or-nothing look. Just gets the 6 down on that shot. Let's go back down on 11 and 12, Stu Williams. I don't know if you talked to Justin Bowen at all in passing, because Bowen just came off this pair. So this is the first time that Stu Williams would be directly following Justin Bowen. Bowen started on 29-30. Get that 9 out of there. Come on. Are you kidding me? Just not right. We've seen several blocks from players in this event where it seems like they're leaving more 9 pins than 10 pins. Stu picks it up, keeps the score sheet clean while we were away. Justin Bowen, mixer strike. And Chase Nadeau running into more problems. Yikes. Pocket 7-10. Nadeau, good game 3, but he's only 72 over. A little tease, but not going to make it. Over to Oliver. Well, we mentioned the solid 9s for righties. Now the solid 8s for lefty. Oliver, I wouldn't say beside himself yet, but he's just not having the day he was hoping for. Hey, here we go. Another 9 pin. This one by Nick Brem. Appreciate everybody tuning in this morning or this afternoon now, depending on where you're. Oh, it's not afternoon on the East Coast yet. Almost afternoon. Stu Williams can't get the 10 to shake. 4 balls in the pocket, 50% carry percentage. Not what Stu's looking for sure. you can always take the Justin Bone game plan. Hey, let's open the first frame, make the adjustment, and just run a bunch of strikes in a row. It's been his game plan for game 2 and game 3. Hey, why not do it again in game 4? And Oliver splits the 8-9 wonderfully. Nadu looking for a double last time on this lane, as we said. Ripper 7-10. I would love to see a slow motion of that hand coming out of the ball for Nadu, because that hand is behind the ball, and when that thumb starts to come out, those fingers get from 6 o'clock to almost 3 o'clock in a hurry. Great cover there by Nick Brem on the big split. Stu and Chase talking things over a little bit between shots. If Stu leaves another single pin here, we might see some hollering at the pins, but nope, there you see the fist pump. And now after a double, Bone looking at trouble. No sleeper 8. We saw him shoot the backup ball in game 2 at a 2-4-10 combination. One would think he will do the same here. Out of the hand, 2 for 2 on the day on 2-10 combos for Justin Bone. How huge could those be by the end of this block? Could be absolutely huge. Yeah, you see Oliver right there, knew it. Quick through the spot. Ball wasn't going to respond, even with a little extra friction on the outside on this LBC National Championships pattern. How does that not fall for Daryl? Scrambles everything over there. There's like 5 pins trying to get to the 7-pin for him. And then everything just kind of goes, just kind of gives up. Oh, and then insult to injury. The mental mistake on the single pin. Let's get back over to Justin Bone. He was just talking things over with Bryce Oliver. I'm not sure if they were talking about Bryce's ball reaction, Justin's ball reaction, or a combination of the two. Will we get back to striking for Bone? Yes, we will. And same ball in hand all 3.5 games for Justin Bone at this point. Some of that could be due to the little smaller, little less traffic we're getting with an average of 3 players on a pair on this Saturday morning squad. Once again, we are full up this afternoon at 2 p.m. local, 3 p.m. Eastern. We're full up tomorrow at 11 a.m. And we're full up next Sunday at 11 a.m. So if you want to get your last chance to register and get in for the PBA LBC National Championships, do it in the next day or two at pba.com/LBC tournament and get yourself registered for next Saturday. Still room on both Saturday morning and afternoon squads. And next weekend is your final weekend to try to take down that $25,000 top prize in the Open Classic division, to go with $5,000 guaranteed first place prizes in the Women's Classic, Senior Classic, Men's Handicap, Women's Handicap divisions, and in our Boys Junior Handicap and Girls Junior Handicap divisions, we have a $2,500 guaranteed scholarship for the winners of the Boys Junior Handicap and Girls Junior Handicap. So, and also every division leader, every division winner will advance to the PBA LBC National Championships Clash. Date and site to be determined. And Stu, I think I don't follow bowling balls very much anymore, but it looks like the same Ion Pro that Andrew Anderson was using last week. I'm probably wrong. Once again, I'm just the play-by-play guy. I need the color commentator that knows the bowling balls, all the equipment and such. Hey, that's what they get paid for. I just get paid to steer the ship. And I'll have a fun color commentator this afternoon with Stu Williams when he joins us in the booth for that 2 p.m. local squad. Take a look and see if we got any chances for division changeover on these pairs. Doesn't look like it. Get back here, wait for Justin Bone. Trying to make it out to a turkey. Justin Bone feeling it on that shot. Let's check in on a player with a big string here. With Joel Wiedemann. Wiedemann, not a good run so far, under a 200 average for his first 3 games. But he's got a 5-bagger here. Wiedemann in the men's handicap division coming in with a 187 average, so this could help his efforts a great deal. And the wrap 10. All right, let's check in on Stu Williams here. As Stu on a 4-bagger, just left a vicious wrap 10. Oh no. Oh, and the mental error. He's going to leave his maximum in the 230s. That's a second single pin miss for Stu in 4 games. That's very unusual. 4-bagger for Bone. Oh, he gets the wiggle on the 10. Does not go. Couple of pins. 6 falls in front, and I think that may have interfered a bit with that head pin coming back across. So Bone can still get to the 230s. Can still have a reasonable chance of catching up to Weston Griffin, as he'd be near 1,000 for his first 4 games. Oh my, and another mental error. My goodness. You gain yourself a bunch of pins back with a great 210 conversion, and you give it away with a missed 10 pin. That's just painful. Checking on Nadu. Yeah, Nadu not having any game. This game worth talking about. Over to Stu. Needs the big finish. Gets it to go. 17-18. That has been a bugaboo pair for a lot of players this year. I know Patrick Dombrowski would like to be able to go back and re-bowl his game on 17-18 from last weekend, because that game on 17-18 is probably the difference between Dombrowski leading the exempt division and his current being in second place behind Andrew Anderson, and now Stu Williams going to be at 224. He's going to need a bunch the last 2 to get past Andrew Anderson. I guess Stu gets to go next. That's right. 17-18. All players are moving just 1 pair in play to the right. So Stu's going to go to 17-18, and Chase Nadu is going to move down to this pair, 21-22. And with the lane movement, Justin Bone may be thankful that he got a chance to skip 17-18. He didn't personally select it. It's just the way the lane rotation worked, as we're seeing some players struggle on that pair. So Bone can get to 227. That would get him to 187 over on his block. So he's needing to average a couple of 268 games that come in real handy for Bone to try to take over the lead, because that's about what he's going to need to average for those last 2 to have that chance. Waiting to see who's going to throw first between Oliver and Bone. he's going to need to get the first two here to really keep a realistic chance. He comes light. Is he going to get them all? No, he doesn't. Thought maybe that 2-pin was going to get all the way over to the 10. But now you're talking a 2-0 game. One if he strikes out, so basically Bones got room for 2 errant shots the rest of the way through. He needs to average 281 for his last 2 games to catch up to Weston Griffin. Can be done. We've seen back-to-back 300s. Already in this PBA LBC National Championships in 2025, but the thing is that back-to-back 300s, that was done by your current Open Classic Division leader, Weston Griffin. So let's see if Bowen finally decides to make a ball change. But another player bit by the Game 4 curse. It seems to be a curse. The Game 4 curse. If you can get through Game 4, if you don't have a big total for 3, if you get through Game 4, you get a chance to make a run at the lead. Otherwise, Game 4 really pretty much takes any and all hope away from you here at the PBA LBC National Championships. Game 5 coming up next. All right, hope everybody found their favorite player into Game 5. We're going to stick with Stu here for a few minutes. We'll jump back up, too, with Justin Bone, just in case he's making a huge run. Oh, geez, are you kidding me? So Stu just crumbled the 2-4-10 on the shot before, and then that time smash 7. Are you kidding me? That's just enough to make you call the pins names you probably shouldn't be calling the pins. Not like the pins can understand what you're saying anyway, because they're just inanimate objects that get affected by the physics of individuals throwing around objects at them. Or as Rymine put it in the chat a little while ago, a game of quarter inches. Yeah, sometimes it's a game of even less. I'm sure if that pin got maybe another eighth of an inch of contact from that other pin, it probably would have been enough momentum to get it past that 7.5 degrees of tilt required by the USBC to have a pin fall over. Take it, Lance. Take it and run. It's a three-bagger for the young man in the boys' junior handicap division. Hey, there's all 10 for Stu. Looking forward to a chat with Stu. Last year we were an award-winning episode of the LBC National Championship streaming. One of the final streams of the tournament. Last year, Stu bowled the last weekend and sat in with me. And that live stream from July 14th of last year was awarded by the International Bowling Media Association with one of their visual media awards for live streaming in 2024. So I want to thank Stu Williams for being a part of that, and Jeff Goodger for being our producer behind the scenes that helps put all these LBC National Championship squads together. I'm $2 Phil Brilo. I'm the man on site, keeping everything going while we're here, but there's some good people behind the scenes that make this LBC National Championships live streaming happen very smoothly. One of those being Jeff Goodger, another being Janae Haggerty at the PBA. Janae getting all our booth guests scheduled up, taking care of business, getting these booth feeds to happen for you so we can follow hot hands and keep you informed as to what's going on here in the PBA LBC National Championships. At the rate this is going, it's going to be a little tough for Stu Williams to take over the lead, as I think he would have to go off the sheet literally games 5 and 6 here to get at that. Actually, he can't even get there. He'd fall a pin short as he'd shoot 270 this game and 300 next game. He would be one pin short of the total set by Andrew Anderson. So depending on what Justin Bowen can do in game 5, and once again we mentioned Justin's got to put up 540 for 2 games to get past Weston Griffin. This may be the first squad we have in a couple of weeks that doesn't have a lead change in one of our 8 divisions on it. Oh, how gutting would that be if Stu were to actually go 270 here off the sheet and then run another 12 in a row the next game. 7 just goes down for Stu. Hey, Stu, great. You just ran 21 in a row. You're 1 pin short of the lead. Then you go back and look at the 2 missed single pins that Stu had. 1 in game 1, 1 in game 3. Probably game 4 for that second single pin miss. Just a 10 pin last game. Keep going, Lance. Take them all as they fall. Let's get over to Justin Bone as he's just getting ready to fire his first shot of game 5. Can't afford the first frame open like we've seen the last couple of games out of Justin. So let's see if he got any intel about how 23 and 24 are playing. Did make the ball change. Oh, and just an absolutely vicious wrap 10. Nobody wants to look at second place, to be honest. Let's always be honest. It's not what Stu's showing up here for. But second place currently in the PBA exempt division is Patrick Dombrowski. Put it up last Saturday night. With a plus 266 or a 1466 total, so that's still within range of Stu. EJ Tack at third, plus 1450, and then a bit of a drop back to Kyle Troop, who bowled opening squad. Troop at plus 190 or 1390 for that total. It's still a good chance for a decent paycheck for Stu if he can find a way to keep striking through games 5 and 6. If we go back to the Open Classic division for Justin Bone, we mentioned that 1523, it's going to take a miracle finish. That's still possible for Justin Bone to get there. But there's 63 pins between first place Weston Griffin at plus 323 and second place Todd Seghetti at plus 260. So Justin Bone right now at plus 161. Could still work his way into second place. Bone looking at back-to-back spares to start game 5. Stu looking to keep the string going. 6 just gets enough on the 10. Stu, I want to see you go off the sheet. I'd love to see you strike out here. Get yourself a mini Duke in game 6. Thing I'd hate to have happen, if that happens, would be ask you what happened here in the booth on our 2 p.m. squad. So if you're a Stu Williams fan, or if you know somebody that's a Stu Williams fan, let everybody know. They get their chance for 6 games with Stu. Asking questions and such beginning 2 p.m. local time here. 3 p.m. Eastern on the PBA YouTube channel. And we'll bring you some great action all the way through that squad. Last squad of the day will be the 2 p.m. squad. And then we'll be back at 11 a.m. local time, noon Eastern tomorrow for that big squad with all those PBA exempt players on it, all 8. We'll mention again later. Then 1 weekend remaining, same squad times next weekend. 10 a.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Eastern, and noon Eastern on Sunday. 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. on Saturday. For the final weekend of the PBA LBC National Championships, and I'm sure there's going to be some announcements made shortly about where that PBA LBC National Championships clash will be held for our division winners and what will be up for grabs in that clash and what outlet you'll be able to watch that clash on. You haven't missed anything yet with Justin Bone. Still waiting for Justin to throw his 3rd frame. Not sure if they we're talking things over again behind the lanes. I know they're just watching their pace because they're going to have to go next door. So let's get back to we should have stayed away from that for Nick's sake. So that foursome next door is where Justin Bone and Bryce Oliver are going next, so you can see why they're taking a bit of time between shots. There you go. Bone finally gets the first strike in Game 5. You know, it's the third frame. It's funny I'm saying only, but with the amount of striking that Bone's done today, after especially first frame result opens and then bouncing back with a number of strikes in a row. Oliver 10 back over to Williams, looking to get it out to 6 in a row. There you go, Stu feeling it. Come on, Stu. I'm rooting. I'm not usually a homer in the booth or anything like that, but I mean, Stu is an award-winning live streamer now. It's an award that our senior classic division leader, Chris Barnes, doesn't have. Chris Barnes does not have an IBMA Visual Media Award. Stu Williams, part of that trio that took down that award with myself and Jeff Goodger. Hey, you can go back and watch that squad from last year as well on the PBA YouTube channel. Get back to Justin Bone. Kind of the same boat that Stu is. Kind of needs to pretty much go off the sheet in this game and might have room for one mistake in Game 6, depending on how Game 5 ends up for Justin Bone. Love me some Christmas in July. The Brems with those great Christmas tree snowman jerseys on. Says those jerseys have been good luck for him in the past. He's bowled a couple events with those jerseys on. One of them he crossed with Pete Weber. It's always a good cross to have, especially at a Pro-Am event or a local event. First ball of the 10th for Williams. Are you kidding again? Are you kidding again? Smash 7 in the third frame. Now blower 7 in the 10th. String a bunch in the middle. And we're Stu probably could have had a chance, especially if that one in the third goes, to get a desperate and futile lunge at Andrew Anderson's score, but now he's trying to look at wedging himself ahead of Dombrowski, and it's going to take a pretty big game to do that, to get Williams up into second place. So 249 for Williams. That game should have been a lot more, in my meager opinion. And so Williams is going to need to put up pretty much perfection in Game 6 to get past Dombrowski. Yeah. As Dombrowski at plus 266. Oh, Oliver with the back door on the 6-pin. Well done, young man. Well done. Yeah, Stu's going to need to put 271 on the board in Game 6 to get past Dombrowski. More realistic chance. to get up into the top 4, as fourth place is currently Kyle Troop at 1390. So Stu only needs 195 to get past Kyle Troop to get into fourth position. Bone keeps striking, so he's got a chance. So all your players this last game, they're going to be moving one pair and play to the right. So as we mentioned, Oliver and Bone are going to be moving next door to 25 and 26. Stu Williams, you just saw finish on 17-18. They move to 21 and 22. So a little bit of a gap in pace between a couple of our pairs as we get later in the squad. But then again, some pairs have 3, some pairs have 4. And even a pair like we're seeing on 23 and 24 right now with just 2 players with Oliver and Bone. Let's see if Justin Bone keep the string going here out to 5 in a row. So here's a couple of Justin Bone fans in the chat. Stares it down. Ooh, I'd be watching that ball reaction if I were Justin Bone. We know he is, but he can't be too happy with the Dick Weber wall shot with the amount of speed and power that young Mr. Bone has. Justin's dad, Parker, currently bowling match play at the PBA 60 Roth Championship in Columbus, Ohio, part of the PBA 60 World Series of Bowling. And then Parker in 3rd place in the overall World Championship match play. And that World Championship match play will start tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern. So they'll be bowling World Championship match play right before we start here at Bolero Mount Prospect. Of course, all your PBA 60 World Series of Bowling coverage is on Bowl TV. And then they will have the inaugural PBA 60 World Champion crowned Monday evening in Columbus. Good to see, though, a couple of players in the Roth match play today that are coming back from some various health issues, including number 2 seed Tom Carter. He's had some, I don't think any joint that relates to bowling on Tom Carter's body is the original. I think I know he's had a shoulder replacement. I know he's had a hip replacement. I know he's had a couple of knee replacements. So it's good to see Tom Carter, who runs the pro shop at Wayne Webb's Columbus Bowl when he's not out on the road with the PBA 50 Tour. Carter qualified 2nd yesterday in the Roth Championship main match play. Lenny Borsch Jr., if you follow the PBA and have seen the PBA LBC National Championships clash the last couple of years, Lenny Borsch has made both of those. Lenny at the bowl this year's LBC tournament. As we know, Lenny's been fighting a rare form of prostate cancer. And Lenny qualified 3rd yesterday to get in the match play. Dana Wright out of Minnesota. Yeah, Dana's another one that's been battling some injuries as well. And good to see Don Breeden back out on the PBA 60 Tour. Breeden got the number 16 spot into the Roth Championship match play today. I would love to hear and talk to both players, both Stu Williams and Justin Bone. If you could do something different in Game 4, what would it be? As that Game 4 curse bit both bowlers. I mean, obviously it's not a true curse. It's just when it's happening to so many players that are making a decent run. John Burkett during the PBA 50 squad last week on Friday. 754 for Burkett's first 3. And Game 4 was just toast. Rudy Rebs last week, 300 game during the early part of his qualifying block. Kicked it off in Game 1. He was one of the players that actually avoided the Game 4 curse, put up 280 in Game 4, but then just fell off a cliff. 201 and 165 for the finish for Rudy Rebs. So he ended up 62 pins behind Chris Barnes, who was your current senior classic division leader. Barnes had his lowest game of the day in Game 4, but he had a very consistent block. 222 for Barnes' low game in Game 4. But still finished at plus 238 overall. Big finish of 241, 258 for Barnes got him to that number. Still quite a few senior players to go yet over this weekend and next, so I wouldn't say that's a total. It's a lock for the win for Chris Barnes. Oh, and Justin Bone almost let that single pin get away as well. So Weston Griffin, you are safe for another squad, young man. As even with 15 strikes in a row to finish out his block, Justin Bone would have enough to catch up to you. As he's at 961, can get to 258 this game. That'd be a total of 1219. And even with a 300, he would end up 4 pins behind Griffin. Another, wow, and that pin just leaned before it fell over. So once again, it looked like early on we had a couple players looking to take a chance at division leads. And it's not going to happen. All of our division leaders are going to be safe. We'll give you all of our division leaders, run them down in Game 6 once they have player movement. Once again, everybody just moving one pair to their right. So you saw Stu Williams on 17-18. They moved to 21 and 22 as 19 and 20 not in play on the squad. And Bone and Oliver will move next door. 25 and 26, we'll keep an eye on both those players. If somebody else makes a big run in the final game towards trying to take down a mini Duke for a perfect game, we'll follow that as well. Blair Mount Prospect, your site for the 3rd PBA LBC National Championships, as we are into our final 2 weekends of this event. So as we got players finishing up here. Let's get you actually over to Stu Williams starting things off here in game 6. Let's get you your rundown of your division leaders. Wow, another 7. Oh, that one fell though. Stared it long enough, Stu, they'll fall over. So they say. So we mentioned 2 of your leaders so far today in our divisions, with Weston Griffin at a 15-23 6-game total in the Open Classic division. And Andrew Anderson in the PBA exempt division at 15-18. In the women's classic division, actually, let's go with the senior classic first. Chris Barnes in the lead with that division. Stephen Crowley last week had a chance to get in a 10th frame. Needed to fill 20 pins in the 10th to take the lead from Barnes on Sunday afternoon, but left a super washout and failed to convert, and that leaves Barnes in the lead in the senior classic division. At that 14-38 total. In the women's classic division, Margaret Ventrella needed to strike on her fill ball in game 6 to take the lead from Amanda Lang by a single pin, and Ventrella did just that. But with a number of PWBA bowlers coming in this weekend, including Liz Johnson, including Verity Crawley on the next squad, Liz tomorrow, that 13-24 total might be a little tough to hold on in the women's classic division. In the men's handicap division, Robert Morris has been holding on since opening weekend with a total of 15-02. Came in with a 173 average and did not have a game under his average for the entire 6 games. His low game was his opening game of 189. 3 games in the middle of his block, 204, 235, 239, did most of the damage for Morris. With 2 weekends remaining, let's see if he can go from start to finish and hold on. In the women's handicap division, Kristen Lewis leads with a 14-36 total. Lewis came in with a 152 average. And once again, no games under her average in that 6-game block, including a high game of 209 in game 5 to get to her 14-36 total. In the boys junior handicap division, Cameron Witten entered with a 133 average, made a lot of contact with the head pin, and his spare game was definitely on point when the young man bowled that day. I believe he's all of 10 years old. Witten's low game was 149 in game 3, but he came out of the gates with a good start. 189, 178. Also threw a 181 up on the board in game 5 to help him get to that leading total of 1486 in the boys junior handicap division. And in the girls junior handicap division, Layla Garcia with a 108 entering average. No games under her average, and started off on fire with a 189 game. Finished with a 147. And with her handicap pins has a total of 1487 in the girls junior handicap division. So once again, it doesn't matter your age, doesn't matter your ability. If you want to experience what it would be like to bowl in a PBA event, from the moment you check in to the moment you leave the lanes when your block's done. Get that experience here at the PBA LBC National Championships. We're live streaming every pair just like we do at a PBA event. You have to register your bowling balls on your score sheet, just like at a PBA event. Your lane movement, just like at a PBA event. 4 on a pair for when you bowl, just like at a PBA event. The only thing that you're really missing is the super tough scoring patterns that the PBA players bowl on. But this 4.5-1 pattern, you look at all the different styles, all the different scores near the top of the leaderboard, and there's no one particular bowling ball, there's no one particular style that's dominating the standings. And now Stu Williams really going backwards with back-to-back opens in the second and third frames here in Game 6. We'll get over to Justin Bowen momentarily as Justin is stepping up to throw his first ball of Game 6. As we mentioned, not enough room to get up to that top score of Weston Griffin. Still a decent chance to get into second place, but he's going to need a big game to do it. As Bowen at 12:07. Would need to shoot 254 to get past Todd Seghetti. That plus 260. For second place, Connor Pula, who set the pace for Open Classic opening weekend at 14:57 in third. 14:46 for Ryan Van Hecke in fourth. CJ Petrin and Kyle Zagar, CJ Petrin and Kyle Zagar tied for fifth at 14:37. So with all the talent in the Open Classic division and over 400 entries in that division overall, we've yet to have more than a dozen players break that magic 1,400 number, where you'd be averaging 233, 700 per 3-game set. Chase Nadeau, a day he wants to forget out here on the lanes. Just 60 over, 67 over for his 5 games to this point. And will that 10 go? No, it does not. Head pin once again in front of the 10. We've got ourselves a Deadwood clear. Nothing better than the management-led Deadwood clear. There you go, see our friend Curtis, the tournament office, taking care of business today. Nothing like a clean, courteous, and efficient Deadwood clear to help your bowlers out on the lanes. Bowen stays patient through the Deadwood clear process and converts that spare. But he will need to stop striking if he's going to look to try to jump into second place overall in the Open Classic division. Stu's got 3 in a row. Boy, when Stu gets them, he gets them in clumps, and then just a couple of odd pinfalls. I mean, to have the smash 7 and blower 7 on either side of a 6-bagger as he did a couple of games ago. Yeah, yikes. Nice toss, Lance. That's another great thing about this LBC National Championships. You can bowl as a family. We saw that last weekend with the Cree and the different squad. There were a couple of families, including the Hicklin family, where we had Ron Sr., Nisa, and Chloe. Chloe you saw last year on the PBA LBC National Championships Clash. There you go for Justin Bone. So still that chance. But he needs to take it almost off the sheet to do so. Yeah, he doesn't even have room for count in the middle, does he? Oh yeah, he would. So he has room to have one miss to still get in the second, but it'd have to be a good count. And he'd have to strike on every other shot, and that miss would end up having to be a spare on top of it. Oh, Oliver, just roadblock right there on the score sheet. That 7-pin, again, just the last one to go for Stu. It's going to be interesting to hear his process. That's why I hope all of you join us back here at 3 Eastern, 2 here in Mount Prospect, Illinois, as Stu Williams will be joining me in the booth. And just to hear what Stu went through game by game by game, give you the thought process on what he experienced. We got a little bit of that last week from Matt Russo on Sunday. As Saturday night, Matt Russo had a chance to take home a mini Duke. He had the front 11 in game 5, just fell a little short, got a little quick on the 12th shot, left the 3-pin. Over to Justin Bone. Let's see if he can bone a double. Yes, he can. Big finish here. Hey, that's a 5-figure check for second place. If Bone can get there and hold on through the last weekend of the tournament, sure, it's not the $25,000 and the automatic advancement into the PBA LBC National Championships Clash that you get for first place in the division, but it's still a really solid paycheck, no doubt about it. Oh, you tried to stand against the might of one Stu Williams, you silly 9-pin. You paid for that. So Stu can go off the sheet here, get 246 on the board. That would give him the plus 240. So wait, my math was wrong. Oh no, Stu's in the exempt division. I was thinking of beef. He can beat he can beat Chris Barnes. He can put a total on the board that would be 2 pins. Probably 4 pins past Chris Barnes' total. No, it would be 2 pins. 1194. Yeah, he would be at 1440. But the problem is Barnes in the senior classic division. But 1440 for Stu would get him into 4th place in the PBA exempt division, and that's probably a decent check. One would believe. Yeah, you can't get past EJ Tackett. EJ's at 1450. Bone did strike in the 5th frame, so he's on a 3-bagger. We'll get back to him next time he steps up. Actually, Stu already on pace to get past Kyle Troop for 4th, but with all those PBA exempt players coming in, I mean, there's over a dozen of them between tomorrow and next weekend. Yeah, Stu's going to try to grab every pin he can to try to get the biggest check possible out of Bolero Mount Prospect. There you go, Stu, foundation frame strike. I would love to hear the grief that Stu's going to give Chris Barnes if Stu gets past him on the total of 1440. You're an old guy. That's the only reason why you won. You're on the exempt tour too, Chris Barnes. Yeah, but hey, still 55 and on the exempt tour and being competitive on the exempt tour. It's not like Chris Barnes is going through the motions. He's competitive out there on the exempt tour, and he's seen once again this year in the PBA 50 Tour after some rough starts. Took home the title at the South Shore Open in nearby Hammond, Indiana last week. Justin Bone still keeping the thought of getting into second place alive. That's another player with Justin Bone. A couple of single pin misses. One in game 1, one in game 4. How could have that changed the outlook if those spares were converted? It still may not be enough to catch Weston Griffin. All right, I'm rooting for the double and at least 9 on the fill shot for Stu because I want to hear the back and forth on the Beef and Barnesy show about how Stu outbowled Chris Barnes for the 6 games. There you see Stu asking it for it to stay out. Boy, that's another one for Stu too. Boy, if you just made the right educated guess. I mean, a couple of the games where he had slow starts and then big finishes. You get those early opens this game. Even if you just turn them into a couple of marks, you're past Tackett, you're past Dombrowski. And you're in second place then, Stu. You get a couple, and then you get the single pin misses back. I mean, you don't catch Anderson, but you make it really close. Oh, are you kidding me? Are you absolutely kidding me? Stu's, I can imagine there was at least 2 curse words muttered under the breath to go with. Sums it up, mate. So 2:33 for the finish leaves Stu at 14:27. So he will be in 4th place. He moves ahead of Kyle Troop. And we're going to spend the rest of the hour here on the man looking to make a run into second place with Justin Bone. As he's waiting for his lane mate, Bryce Oliver, to finish off Bryce's 7th frame. It's a 279 max here. In game 6. Would get Justin Bowen up to 1486 or plus 286 total. That would leave him in second place ahead of Todd Seghetti, ahead of Connor Pula. Is he going to roll the 8? No, he doesn't, but there's still room to get in the second. He's just going to need to strike out to do it. As a spare here and striking out would get Justin Bone to 1465. I mean, these are two huge frames coming up for Justin Bone for the visit to the pay window, because striking out, you're in second place. If you fail the double, you could be down as far as 8th. And if you open, you might not even be in the top 12. Kobe Franklin, the latest addition to the top 12 last week with 1408. And I'll tell you what, Kobe could have had a bunch more, a couple of vicious ring 10s. The Dutch 200 in game 4 where he just couldn't figure a lane out. And then the next game starting Dutch for the first 7 frames. Yeah, it was not a fun day for Franklin. His girlfriend, though, as we mentioned, taking over the lead in the women's classic division. With Margaret Ventrella sitting on 1324. So must strike here for Bone to try to get into second place. Oh my, and as we mentioned, that part of the leaderboard is so packed between 2nd and 10th that split there. Boy, and another open in the 10th. That could leave Justin Bone outside the top 10. And yeah, that is a big difference in the pay window between 2nd place and 10th place. So 234 now on the max for Justin Bone. If he gets that, he'll be in 5th place. He will pass CJ Petrin and Kyle Zagar in that tie for 5th. As you mentioned, though, if he has another disastrous frame, he could drop outside the top 10. Stares it down, gets them all to go. So that'll keep him in the top 10, barring setting himself on fire and tying his shoelaces together on the last 2 shots. Just a matter if he can get up into 5th. Another strike here. And 6 pins on the fill ball will let that happen. There you go. All right, Justin Bone throw a good shot, you're going to get yourself in the top 5 position. And this will wrap up our coverage on the 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central squad here from the PBA LBC National Championships. Make sure you come back at 3 p.m. Eastern time. Stu Williams will be joining us in the booth, so get your questions ready for Stu this afternoon, 3 p.m. Eastern. Thanks, everybody, for joining us today. And, hey, parents, take the kids bowling because you know they're going to have fun for life. We'll see you back here in a few hours.